If you're new, press the bell icon to get the latest notifications.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome back to Bitcoin Update today. Right, so it's been a while, and at the moment I see bets everywhere at this point of time. Now, from yesterday, I actually got an amazing response. Well, did get an amazing response from so many people. Just a second, I'm gonna connect my stupid mic. It came out of my shirt, and there we go again. All right, so back on track. Great. As I was saying before I was interrupted by my stupid microphone, we saw Bitcoin making some bad patterns, and a lot of bad patterns were actually made since yesterday. And after I learned a little bit about the bad pattern, I realized that so many things point to a bet. And there are three different bet patterns that I want to talk about in this update on Bitcoin, and it's going to be super fun and super amazing to learn what is going on with all this harmonic pattern that is appearing at the moment. So very quickly, remember how yesterday I told you that there was a bet pattern forming up, and we're looking for $21,800. So far we are moving to the downside at the moment, and it's playing out pretty much. So let's go into the 4-hour time frame at this point of time, and we marked off with an X, A, B, C, D. So this was your X location, went up to the A. This one was your B right here. This is your C, and you have the D somewhere down here near this price level, which is 21,800. That's where you do have the bet pattern, and I've talked about the bet pattern in detail. I'm not going to go into it anymore, but you can just use the fib retracement to see where the levels are actually retracing to the downside. So from there to there, and you use the fib retracement, and you can see that 0.618 is also 21,800. Right, pretty cool. Now another thing is that realize this, that even when you talk about 0.618, that's where you really should be retracing to the downside and actually holding the 0.618. The reason is because if you start to lose this golden ratio, that's where you normally go to retrace down to. Another place you can retrace down is 0.5. Now I do know and realize that you came down and now you are below the 0.382. So basically you're turning that support level into a resistance one right now, and losing the 0.382 is going to take you all the way down again to 0.618. So it basically means that if you're going to try to lose 0.618, then that means that you're possibly going to be losing 0.618 just to drop to 1.618 to $18,000, which is not a good thing. But for that one, again, you really need to lose the X, and I'm going to be really confident that you're going to go down to 1.618. So the story is very simple. The plan is really simple. Stay above 20,200. Everything is going to be okay. Stay above this level right over here, this line that I just draw, yellow line down there, 20,200. As long as you're above this level, we have really good chances of even moving up to $27,000. And I do expect that in the future, because the bet pattern is a bullish pattern that is meant to continue higher from there. So that's a good news. That's really good. As long as you hold the bet pattern, don't lose the X, and the bet pattern doesn't get invalidated. Simple, right? Now, that's all. The second bet pattern, this was the first one on the 4-hour time frame. The second I showed you in yesterday's video, and I'm going to show you the second one that happened during this time here. And you can say that back in this area, we had the bet pattern somewhere here, where this was your X right there. You had your A, the B, the C, and you can see that was where the D correction really was. That was another bet pattern, and it was perfectly well done on the daily time frame. The one that I showed you earlier was on a 4-hour time frame. This one instead is actually on the daily time frame. So there's one more bet pattern that ices the cake, and we've seen the first one starting from the 4-hour time frame. We've seen the second one starting from the daily time frame. Now I'm going to show you the one that is actually in the weekly, okay? And if we go with the one is on the weekly, then Bitcoin has bottomed out at $15,000, and it doesn't really want to go below 15,000, because that bet pattern is actually going to be invalidated. And this is something I had to dig deep. It's my personal work. It's my personal observation on the market. Could be totally wrong, but it's something that I don't think anyone has figured it out, and I just kind of saw it. So let's see, maybe someone did it somewhere in the world, a rare case, maybe not on YouTube. I don't think they're going to give you this stuff on YouTube. So let's go into the weekly again. The page is not loading, stupid internet. Let's go and reload this page again. Okay, it's trying to load. I don't know what happened all of a sudden. Just gonna dive into the weekly. All right, back into the weekly. So where does our next bad pattern actually appears? If I go here, I'm going to write in auto draw, and do remember that there's a condition for a bad pattern. When the market is moving up, it tends to move sideways at one point. Okay, there's a point when it moves sideways. All of a sudden, when it comes down, at one point it's suddenly going to start to push to the upside and upside and upside again. Now, the place where it started to push up, that's your X, okay? And the place where it goes and stops, that's your A, right? The place where it comes to retrace one time, that's your B. And the place where it actually makes a small correction, that's your C. And the place where it really completes to go down, that's going to be the D place. And from here, that's the bottom. And all of this pattern is bullish to make Bitcoin continue to even cross this all-time high. And that's where the main point is, that when you make that bad pattern, you're looking to continue higher and break the A level, right? That's the main purpose of the bad pattern. Now, there's a bad pattern on the weekly that says that it actually came to the D place, and now it's looking to go back to the all-time high, which we're talking about, the $69,000. So that bad pattern, in my opinion, logically, let's try to connect the dots. Now let's bring in the, first of all, let's talk where the rally actually happened. This is where you had that big coronavirus dump and a V-shaped recovery. And then when you move for the V-shaped recovery like this, you tend to move sideways. You see, when you moved sideways, this is where the big rally really moved to the upside, and you continued, and this is where you stopped. When you stopped there, you came down, and then when you came down, you went up, and then when you went up, you came down to the D. Now, if this is the D area, hopefully that's the D. Otherwise, the D, if it comes and be lower like this, maybe to 12,000, maybe that could be the D as well. But let's say if this is your D correction. Now for that one, I'm still going to use Fibonacci retracement and check if that is actually the bottom of it. So if I take the bottom to the top here, look at that, all right? That is the 0.5, and 0.5 is a good place for the D area. That is also meant to be the D as well. That is okay. However, even if you do come down to 0.618 here, that can also be the D, right? Or if you end up coming to $7,000, that's your last chance for the D wave. But that doesn't make sense. Actually, I did something wrong. There's something wrong I did. Actually, your X starts here because this is where you moved. I actually took this retracement. That was really totally wrong, because you got to take the X. You have to start with the X, which is actually here. And based on that being the X, oh yes, you've actually come down to 786. And that's why I was saying that this is potentially the bottom of Bitcoin. Okay, you really made it nearly 786, or maybe you can just come down again to visit the 786 at 14,000 and then move to the upside. That's a different scenario. But you are looking this as your big D, because the second thing is that you do have this as a falling wedge if you look at it on the weekly. So that actually can also be the end of the downtrend as well, because falling wedges are meant to as a reversal patterns to the upside. And now you have your D, and then from here you potentially want to move up, because look, everything is connecting right now. So if I do bring in that bad pattern as I showed you before, this is where you do have the X, the A, you have that B right here, the C right there, and that is your D right here. That actually does look like a picture perfect bad pattern. And if we talk about the levels as well, then look at the levels. Okay, so you even went to the upside, and the fib retracement doesn't lie, because when you bounced off from the A, you went to the A, and then you bounced off from 0.382. You came down to 0.382. Look, everything is making sense right now. So when you went to the upside, you also made a move back to 0.236. And when you moved to 0.236, you went all the way down. You first of all made 0.618, which I thought this could have been the D, but it wasn't actually the D, but you continued all the way near the 0.786, and that could be potentially the D. Now, if Bitcoin does make it below the X, which is $9,838, that actually invalidates the whole bad pattern, and it's not going to be in play. Now, it can be invalidated, we cannot be very crystal clear, but as long as this is meant, because this is really looking like it is a bad pattern. It actually is. It's meeting all the criteria, and we are looking for a move back up even higher than $69,000, which is pretty good to hear after a long time, you know, that finally there's something good about to happen based on the weekly. So that's pretty much it for this update right now. That was a very long one, but really informative one that I had to do, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Allah Hafiz.